Hello and welcome to our channel UPSC Mentors. Today we are going to discuss Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. After the recent incident of ransomware in which the money was demanded in cryptocurrency called Bitcoins, it has become a very important topic both from the perspective of prelims and mains. So let's discuss what is a cryptocurrency and what is Bitcoin. Before moving on to cryptocurrency or digital money, let us first discuss what is the characteristics of money. What are the features which make a currency? Now money, it is a medium of exchange, that is it stands in for an arbitrarily long change of barter, that is it is used in exchange of barter system. It should be widely accepted. Secondly, it solves the purpose of a unit of account. It should be recognizable, it should be divisible, it should be transportable, it should be transferable, and it should be hard to counterfeit. These are the characteristics of a good currency. The third important function of currency is it is a store of value. People hold it, people invest in it, people store it for future purpose, for risks. So it has to has a stable supply, it should be durable, it should be securable, and it should have a stable value. Now let us come to what is cryptocurrency. A cryptocurrency is a bearer instrument. In order to visualize bearer instrument, think of it as a note. A note is a bearer instrument. It has the holder of the note has its ownership. Suppose if I have a 100 rupee note, I don't require any other proof to establish that 100 rupee note is mine. You don't require any other records to prove the identity of the owner. The person having the 100 rupee note is the owner of the note. Now, in order to use that 100 rupee note, that person does not require any identity card along with that note. Now think of it as a check. Now if you have a check worth 100 rupees, you have to establish your identity that you are the person whose name is written on the check. So in the case of check, other records have to be kept as to the identity of the owner, but not with the 100 rupee note. So a cryptocurrency is similar to a 100 rupee note. Next, because no identity is required, so it is easy to keep anonymous. It is hard or almost impossible to replace if stolen. If suppose your 100 rupee note gets stolen, it is very difficult to replace that note. It derives trust from mathematical properties. Now here comes the difference between 100 rupee note and a cryptocurrency. Now 100 rupee note is a legal tender. The Reserve Bank of India or the state or the government, it gives the legal tender, it gives the legal backing to that 100 rupee note. It promises to pay the bearer a sum of 100 rupees, it is written on the note. But it is not so with the cryptocurrency. In cryptocurrency, the trust on that currency comes from the mathematical properties or the calculations, which we will discuss in the further slides. The trust on cryptocurrency does not come from physical properties like as in gold or legal tenders as in a 100 rupee note. Cryptocurrency can be called as a bearer instrument based on digital cryptography. Cryptography is the art of coding or encrypting or writing in secret languages. We will discuss about it at length in some other lecture. Now let's come to what is a Bitcoin. A Bitcoin is also a digital currency. It was introduced in 2008 by a pseudonymous developer named Satoshi Nakamoto. It can be exchanged for goods and services. Now it is pertinent to note that the developer named Satoshi Nakamoto, he used this name as a pseudonym. His identity is still not known. From 2008 to 2017, Bitcoins have made a considerable progress. The Bitcoins are digital in nature. They cannot be printed or physically made. They must be generated through computerized methods, which we will discuss. They are decentralized. Bitcoins are not regulated by any government or banking institutions. These transactions, the transaction in Bitcoins, they allow for anonymity and they are global. The Bitcoins are not bounded by any border, they are borderless currency and can be used across the globe. So, here are the characteristics of a Bitcoin. It does not require any central issuing or verification authority. It is based upon a network, a peer to peer network. So, for example, if we do any transaction, we do not require any intermediary like a bank or a payment gateway. It is very easy to transport anywhere in the world because it is just a string of digits or alphabets. It is easy to secure. It is immune to sovereign censorship, shutdown, or confiscation. Because it is a virtual currency, it cannot be confiscated. Recently, you must have heard of a case in which FBI has seized bitcoins in a case called Silk Road. That Silk Road was a site which was selling banned items and demanding money in bitcoins. So FBI has confiscated bitcoins, but those bitcoins are not confiscated, but their codes, they are auctioned on the other sites by the other persons who knew what are the codes for those bitcoins. The bitcoin is immune to inflation and bank defaults. Now let us discuss how bitcoin works. Bitcoin is just like an email. Suppose a person A has to send an email to person B. Now, what does a person A require? A person A requires an email ID, that is, let's say a@north.com. And what does person B require? Person B also requires an email ID called b@south.com. These email IDs can be seen as the public keys of person A and person B, that is, the names of person on the internet which are known to the public. Similarly, in the case of a Bitcoin, the public keys of person A and person B, they are very complex strings of digits and alphabets. These public keys can be obtained by opening a Bitcoin account. There are many service providers which open a Bitcoin account. Now let's say person A has to give 10 bitcoins to person B. In order to understand how Bitcoin network functions, first we will discuss how it happens in a centralized system, let's say a bank or a payment gateway. In bank, let's say you have a ledger book. In your account you have 20 rupees, that is person A has 20 rupees and person B has 10 rupees. Now if person A wants to transfer 10 rupees to the account of person B through internet banking, what will person A do? Person A will go to the online banking site of the bank. Then person A will open his account through his public key, that is his login or his account number. Then person A will put his private key, that is his password, which is only known to the private person. Then he will go into the dashboard, he will go to the transaction page, he will go to transfer money account page. Then he will transfer 10 rupees to the account of B. Now the bank authorities, they will deduct 10 rupees from the account of person A and then they will credit 10 rupees into the account of person B. This is how a transaction happens online with an intermediary, let's say a bank or a payment gateway. But as you know, in a Bitcoin there is no central authority like a bank or a payment gateway. Then how does this function? Let's say this is a public ledger in which these are the Bitcoin accounts of the users. These users are also called nodes in the Bitcoin network. Here let's say A has 20 bitcoins, B has 10 bitcoins. Now A gives 10 bitcoins to person B. Now how will the Bitcoin network maintain this transaction? How will it record this transaction? It will record in a ledger. Now this ledger is not maintained by a bank. Instead, it is maintained in public domain. All the transactions right from the start of the first transaction using Bitcoin in 2008, they are recorded and maintained publicly. Now this data has reached up to 170 gigabytes. In order to maintain this ledger, it requires a very high computing capabilities, and these special computers, they are called miners. In order for this transaction in which A gives 10 bitcoins to B to be successful, this transaction has to be approved and verified by miners. Now we will discuss what is a miner or what is Bitcoin mining. So this is a representation of a Bitcoin network. These are called the nodes, that is the person who are having account of Bitcoins. These are the Bitcoin users. They are also sort of Bitcoin nodes. These persons, they use their local wallets or web wallets or paper wallets in order to make transactions. These transactions are entered into these public ledger through approval and verification through Bitcoin miners. As we have seen that miners provide a very important function in a Bitcoin network. They provide a function similar to the banks in the online transaction. They will first verify whether a person A has 10 bitcoins in his account or not, if a person A has to transfer 10 bitcoin accounts to person B. So they provide verification for transactions. Next, they provide another important functions of maintaining the ledger. The ledger is maintained in public domain, so they edit the ledger, and that change in the ledger is transmitted or broadcasted to all other nodes in a short span of time. Now many transactions may occur in a Bitcoin network at any given time. So all the pending transactions in a time frame which is around 10 minutes, they are grouped into blocks for verification. Now each block has a unique identification number, creation time, and reference to the previous block. Now in order to verify a block, the miners have to solve complex mathematical problems which take huge computational resources. If the miners are able to verify a block, they are rewarded with newly minted bitcoins, that is newly created bitcoins. This is how bitcoins are generated into the system. Since this new block of transactions, it is added to all the previous blocks which of the transactions in the public ledger. This method is called the blockchain method. Now as more and more miners enter the network to make more and more money, the computational power increases, which is a good thing for the Bitcoin network, because more miners means better verification of transactions, which will mean more trust in the Bitcoin network. But the algorithm is such designed to increase the difficulty for finding new blocks. Thus the rate of addition of new blocks is almost constant, that is 6 times in an hour. That is, every 10 minutes a new block of transaction is added to the public ledger of all the transactions which have happened since the start of the Bitcoin transaction system. So as you know that mining requires a certain amount of work in terms of computational power and also the electricity. For generation of a block of coins, this rate is controlled by the network so that the bitcoins are always created at a predictable and limited rate. At present, this rate is around 25 bitcoins per 10 minutes. That is, after every 10 minutes, after which a block of transaction is added to the public ledger, 25 bitcoins are generated. Now this rate is going to reduce over time. After every 4 years, this rate of generation of bitcoins is reduced by half. That is, after 4 years from now, after every 10 minutes, a block of transaction will be added to the public ledger and it will fetch only 12.5 bitcoins. That is, only 12.5 bitcoins will be generated every 10 minutes. The unit of account of a bitcoin is millibitcoins, the micro bitcoin, and Satoshi, named after the founder of bitcoins. It is based upon the blockchain method, which we have already discussed. Now all the transactions are public, but they are not by default tied to anyone's real identity. Here public means their public key, that is their identity on the network, represented by a long string of alphabets or digits. The anonymity and traceability are user defined in this network. That is, the counterparties who are involved in a transaction, they can be as anonymous as they take steps to be, even to each other. That is, you don't have to know the identity of the other person to transact. The Bitcoin network is secured by collective computational power of miners. It is very difficult to create a new valid block, but it is very easy to check the validity of a new block. Miners are awarded new bitcoins or transaction fees for successfully finding new blocks. This is a graph showing total bitcoins in circulation. As you can see, it is logarithmic in nature. That is, during the initial years, more bitcoins were generated per unit of time than now. It is estimated that the total number of bitcoins will reach to a number of around 21 millions by the year 2140. Of those 21 million, around 72% of those bitcoins are already generated. This shows that an inherent monetary policy is already introduced in the Bitcoin system. Currently, 25 bitcoins are created every 10 minutes. This rate halves every 4 years until all the coins are created in the year 2140. That is around 21 million bitcoins they will be totally created. We will discuss the pros and cons of the Bitcoin network and the Bitcoin system and cryptocurrency in our next lecture. We will also discuss the impact of bitcoins on the governance structure in India and in the world. We will also discuss what are the probable questions which can be asked in UPSC mains or prelims. I hope this video helped. You can contact us at upscmentors@gmail.com. We are a group of civil servants who wish to provide free and voluntary educations to all the civil services aspirants so as to create a level playing field. Thank you.